Hello again, welcome back everyone. Liquorhound here with you. Thank you for joining me once again for another spirit review video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the latest release from Laphroaig, that being Laphroaig Lore. Now, Lore has been pretty highly anticipated ever since Ardbeg's Dark Cove came out about a month ago. They kind of share one little similarity in that Ardbeg Dark Cove was claiming to be the darkest Ardbeg ever, which it wasn't. And this is claiming to be the richest Laphroaig ever, which it isn't. But that aside, Ardbeg Dark Cove was really good, and so is this. Now, the one that I reviewed on the Dark Cove was the committee, but since then I have tasted the standard release of Dark Cove, and it is actually really, really nicely done as well. Definitely more fruity than the committee, but maybe just doesn't have that finish, okay? All right, but back, let's focus. Laphroaig Lore. Now, the thing to note about Laphroaig Lore, it is becoming a permanent addition to the Laphroaig lineup. So while it may initially be kind of hard to find on shelves because, you know, the first batch, everybody kind of wants to go out and get it, it will be resupplied. Now, the thing to note is that if you do see it on the shelves right now, because here we are at the very back end of May, heading into June 2016, the first batch is the one that John Campbell has been really raving about, talking it up. But the thing to note is that this is no age statement whiskey. So while he did mention that, you know, this batch contained Laphroaig as young as 7, but it contains 2 9s, tiny-year-olds. It contained a 21-year-old Laphroaig as well. He actually gave the vintage on it. It was distilled back in 1993. So, you know, that's all well and good, but is that going to continue? You know, are they going to continue to keep adding 21-year-old and at the same level as they did initially? I personally wouldn't imagine they would do it, just because you have to make that first impression, right? And then if you want to back off some and maybe start putting in 18-year-old Laphroaig or something like that, you know, it's marketing, it's business, but that's where we're at. So I'm reviewing this very first batch, and that's what we're going to go ahead and go through. Now, as far as the actual casks that went into it, John Campbell, he did mention that there was quarter cask Laphroaig in this batch. He mentioned that would be the 7-year-old, because that's probably going to be the youngest, because quarter cask is typically aged about 5-6 years in ex-bourbon barrels and then spends several months in quarter casks. So that's probably the 7. And then he talked about how there was a 9-year-old ex-bourbon barrel, first fill and first fill bourbon. And then there was also a 9-year-old double matured, so ex-bourbon barrel, and then transferred into first fill European oak or virgin European oak. So we have that going, and then of course that 21 and some sherried Laphroaig in here as well, which you can kind of tell by that color. The color is, you know, has a little more of that darker gold color than the typical ex-bourbon Laphroaig. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the nosing. Well, quickly, 48% ABV on this guy, so we're talking 96 proof whiskey. It's pretty good. It's not bad at all. I would recommend that they keep that 21-year-old Laphroaig going into this blend, simply because the price point. The price point on this has been running anywhere between $115 or so, all the way up to about $135, $140. So it's not exactly a inexpensive dram, but you know, it is what it is. So let's make sure we keep that quality up, okay, Laphroaig? All right, on to the nose. Wow, there you go. That's nice. It's almost a great combination of a big Laphroaig and a soft, sweet side of Laphroaig as well. Because the first thing I know is a big, sweet, malty character to this whiskey. And then right away you're starting to get orchard fruits, so like maybe some apricots, some plums in here. A little bit of red berries, that's going to be that sherried Laphroaig. Definitely some good amount of cinnamon in here. That cinnamon, you can almost smell it just popping right there. Citrus, like lemon peels, chocolates, and a really nice, the big player here is going to be this really sweet briny smoke that's coming through, and it's almost feeling like smoked meats as well. Yeah, that's what we're getting. Very, very nice on the nose. That 96 proof doesn't just come out of the glass and push you out. You can really dive in here. Okay. You do get a little bit of that medicinal, that typical Laphroaig iodine. It's in there, but it's way behind everything else. It's feeling, I guess, just the main thing is sweet, malty, and smoky. It's kind of those three big aspects with those lemon peels. That's the main thing that pops, even more than the plums and the apricots, that lemon peel aspect. Okay, to the tasting. Oh, nice. Wow, it enters so soft. Mouth coating, fairly oily. Wow. Yeah, so that sweet malt right up front. Vanilla custard almost as well, with lemon peels. That lemon peel aspect from the nose is definitely coming through with a citrus lemon peel aspect. Wow, there's the plums, there's those red berries kind of on that mid palate as a cinnamon kind of swells. It doesn't get hot again, it just kind of swells and adds that nice good spice hump in the middle. The smoke that comes in with those fruits in the beginning, which starts out initially very, very sweet and kind of gets a little salty, briny. And it definitely has like a smoked meat character to it. And with that brine, it's actually making me feel like prosciutto or jamon aspect to the smoke. Wow, I love it up front. It's just sweet and lemon peels and then the smoke and then those plums and the red berries. Chocolate notes, cocoa powder is what it is on the back end. Right as soon as you roll over on the mid palate, past the cinnamon swell, you start getting cocoa powder. There's kind of an earthiness to the smoke as well. To the flavor profile on the back end, it gets a little earthy. So it's kind of like that smoke transitions. It actually changes where it's sweet up front, malty, and it gets a little briny on that mid palate with the smoked meat character, and then it transitions and it turns a little cigar ash on the back end. Just a touch of old leather on the back end as well. That's going to be that 21-year-old Laphroaig, adding that old whiskey character to it. But the one thing I will say, you can definitely tell there's young whiskey in here. That 7 and 9-year-old whiskey is making its presence known, because up front, short of the mouthfeel and the oiliness up front, that's that old whiskey. That mid palate and all those fruity characters and all that, that's that youthful, that's that young Laphroaig in the mix. Overall, very, very well done. Again, not the richest Laphroaig ever, but a very, very well done Laphroaig, okay? So I'm happy for that. I just hope they keep subsequent batches the same. If I was going to equate this to any other Laphroaig that I remember, you know, with the sherried Laphroaig, with the 21-year-old Laphroaig in this blend, you would think it would be somewhere around the old Laphroaig 15, not the 15-year-old from last year, the 200th anniversary. That was very tropical fruity, not that one. The one previously, the one discontinued before that, was the sherried 15-year-old. And that one was very, very refined Laphroaig. That felt very elegant and soft and round. You know, these no-age statements that have the younger whiskeys in it, they have that vibrancy, that youthful pop. Nothing really wrong with that, just that it's not like that. You know, it's not like it was. So I'm not going to say this is very close to the old Laphroaig 15, but it has a little reminiscent qualities to it in the front, and but that's about it. If I was to actually tell you what this most reminds me of, it kind of reminds me of last year's Carchus mixed with the 2014 Carchus, the Amontillado sherry. Because this one has a very, very fruity ness to it, but does not have a real big pop or a swell of flavor. It's just fruity, rounded, which is pretty amazing at the proof. I mean, this thing was 51.4%. And last year's was 51.5%, so very close to it in ABV. But last year's Laphroaig was very big, and it was soft and big and malty. It's kind of the same thing as this is. So maybe if you combine these two, you'd almost get what that is. It's just my personal take on it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Everybody keep leaving those great comments. I hope you enjoyed it. Everybody have a great evening, and cheers.